Hello, welcome guys. Welcome to Technology Pract, where we believe learning practically. So welcome to AWS use cases. So we are going to today's use case is use case number 4. So we are going to learn about API Gateway, which is one of the important part of AWS. So in the Employee Gateway, we are today going to deal with Employee Data API. Okay, so our problem statement is create the API having facility to post data using Lambda function. Age should not be less than 20 and age and name should be mandatory fields. So we are going to design an API where we are going to accept age and name from the end user, and we will just show the message that welcome on board with the name, and we are going to check the age. So these are two different use cases. So let's start. Okay, so this is a AWS console. So first let's go to the API gateway, where we will create API first. So we are going to create a post API. Okay, so we will select the REST API, build. Okay, so here we will select the create new API. So with new API, we will give the name of API, say employee API. Okay, we will keep other things as it's. So here we are selecting new API. So there are two more options. We can import from Swagger and example API. So example API, we will get the some example from AWS, and import from Swagger. Swagger is a document where generally we document the APIs. So from that document, third party or third person can get the details about that API. So Swagger and Open API. So from by importing that document, we can build the API. So we are going to select new API. So we are going to create it manually. Employee API. Let's create it. Okay, so now we got this. So in the left pane, we can see resources, stages, authorizers, gateway response models, and many more things. So here we can see that create method, create resources. So we are going to use the simple resource which is available by default, and here we are going to create a method. Okay, so we are interested in post method. So we will select the method. So in last video I have explained about API in basic of the while installing the Postman. So I have explained basic about the APIs. So here we are going to select the type of the method. So after selecting post, we will get the integration type, uh, where we want to get the data from. So is it the Lambda function, HTTP, mock, AWS service? So we are going to use the Lambda function. Okay, so here we are going to select AP South 1, and here we want to select the Lambda function. So for that we need to create one Lambda function. So let's go to the Lambda. We'll open it into new tab. So this is the page where we can create Lambda function. So we'll go for create function, author from scratch. So we'll select basic author from scratch. So we are going to create the Lambda function from scratch. Okay, so here we will give the name as employee Lambda. We are going to select Node.js. We are going to write the function in Node, and we are keeping all the other things as is. So let's create the function. Okay, so function is created. So Lambda is created. You can see that here we have function overview, and here some options are there: code, test, monitor, configuration. another. So in the code pane, we can write the code for that Lambda, and in the test we can test it. Configuration is configuration about that Lambda function. Okay, so I will just remove this. So now with this Lambda function, we are going to attach this Lambda function to API. So this will be the backend for our API. So here this Lambda function is going to receive age and name from that API. So here we are going to check for the age. Age should not be less than 20. And if it's less than 20, then we are going to throw the error. Okay, and if it's about 20, then we are just going to give the message that welcome aboard with the name. Okay, so for that we will first declare one constant, and we will get all the data in this event. So we will just fetch the age from this. Then similarly we will go for name. We will fetch the name from this. Okay, so now we got the age and the name. Now we are going to use a simple if function. If age is less than 20, just return age should not be less than 20, whatever message you fill. Then else, so if age is greater than 20, we are just going to return welcome on board, and we are going to add the name. Okay, this is showing some error. Welcome on board. Okay, there is spelling mistake. Okay, so we will deploy this. So now our Lambda function is ready. Let's attach it to API. So if you can see here, we will just copy the name of the function, employee Lambda, and in the API gateway we will attach it here. We will save this. It's saving. Okay, so after that we will get this screen for testing. So this is to test the API in without deploying it. So we will give age as say now we want to test if age is, it is giving the error for less than age less than 20. For that we will give the age 15. So as per our logic in the Lambda, it should give the error. So let's test this. Age should not be less than 20. Okay, so now let's add age as 25. Let's test this. Welcome on board ABC. So we are getting this response as per our expectations, but it is in the API gateway. So it is in the AWS. It is not deployed yet. We cannot access it from outside the API, outside AWS. So for that we need to deploy it. After deployment only it will be available to outside world, so that we can access it from Postman or any client for that matter. So we have to give the stage name and stage description. So I will create one stage environment and I will say it as a dev. Then I will deploy to the dev stage. Okay, so once it is deployed, I will get the URL. So this is the URL which will be available for public. So this is the public URL. So now we will go to the Postman. Okay, so this is the Postman. So how to install, I have covered in one video how to install and some basic about Postman. So we will paste the request here. We will change the type as post, and for that we have to provide the body. Okay, we will select raw and we will select JSON body and we will provide the body here. Okay, so same body which we have provided in the test, So let's check for age less than 20 first, then we will go for XYZ. Sorry, colon X, XYZ. Okay, so as per our Lambda function, it should give the error. Let's see. So we have sent the request. Okay, so you can see that age should not be less than 20. So if we go for age, correct age, that is about 20, we will get welcome on board XYZ. Okay, so this is the API which we have deployed. So now we have one post API which will accept age and name. So age and name should be mandatory fields. So here you can see, if I remove age here, name here, and provide only age with valid values, then also it will not give the error. It will say that welcome on board undefined. It will take it won't find the name parameter, that's why it will take undefined. But I want error, that I don't want user to post this or to execute this post API without name. Okay, so for this we will introduce model here. Okay, so models, what is a model? So model is you can say it's a framework we are introducing for our API. Okay, so I'm writing that, okay, I'm having employee model where I will deal with application JSON and model schema. So I will write the schema, that is I will write a framework for my employee model, that okay, these are the mandatory things and these are the things which needed. Okay, so here API gateway we will paste here. So here you can see that it's a simple schema where title is there. This is the important part where we are saying that okay, age should be integer, name should be string, and both fields should be needed. So both fields should be there in the body. Okay, so we will create the model. Model name must be alphanumerical. Okay, underscore is not acceptable. Create. Okay, so it is created. Now let's add this model to our post API. For this, we will go to the method request. So here request body, we will say that okay, if it's application JSON, then I am having one model ready with me, which is employee model. Okay, so now we have added model to the post API. Now we have request validator. So I am saying that okay, validate body. So validate body against this model. So we have written the schema for that. So now again we have to deploy the things, because this is available in local unless and until we will deploy it. So we will deploy on the same dev model. Okay, so we got this URL. So for safety we will again paste this. Okay, we will first, so now we don't have name here, so it should give the proper error. Okay, so here you can see that invalid request body. So we will check our happy path again with name colon say XYZ send. Okay, so here it is again saying welcome on board XYZ. Again we will check our first use case where age is less than 20 and we are getting error, it should not be less than 20. So now we have given that name should be string. So let's see if we provide other than string, so it is saying that invalid request body. Okay, so that's all. So we have covered that. We have created the API with Lambda, where we have checked the age, which should be less than 20, which should not be less than 20, and we have used model to make age and name mandatory and add some validation for it. Thank you. Bye bye.